My name is Brando Baruch. I am a professional lighting designer, playwright, adjunct professor of lighting design at University of Laverne. I read the script for Electricidad the first time in, I want to say 2006, so almost 10 years ago. I read it when I was a student in college, and the playwright came and spoke to my class. And I remember my first response to it was that it was such a different world from what I knew. The language was so specific to the culture that Luis Alfaro was representing that it felt very foreign to me. And it wasn't until later, when I designed the piece out of college and I approached it again, that I realized that outside of the language, the piece itself has roots in classic Greek tragedy, and that the story is much more universal than I had realized. And once I realized that, the language started to make more sense to me as well, because I was focusing more on the story of the piece. Well, I'm taking a slightly more heightened approach to this design, and one of the reasons for that is because the design that I did for Three Sisters early in their semester was a much more realistic design, and I want to make sure that my students get an opportunity to see different styles of design. But also, I think that this is a play that can be done, that can be a lot of fun for a designer, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to really explore how wild the lighting design can be while still strongly supporting the story of the piece. No, God, no. As a playwright myself, I desperately try not to write light cues into my plays. I don't even like writing blackout, because I don't think that playwrights always know when things need to be blackouts. It is important to consider every instruction that the playwright gives you, but I think that it is the designer's prerogative to find the best way to tell the story, and that will not necessarily be the designer's decision. It's very likely a conversation between the designer and the director. When you're working on a piece, a new piece and the playwright's in the room, I think it's more important to follow the playwright's instructions, and not just because they're in the room, but because it's a new piece in development and their voice is it's important because they're still figuring out the story they're telling too. But for an established script, something that's been published, that's been around for a while, the rule is when you license a play, you are required to recite every line as written. That is the agreement you make with the licensing company when you take the play. You do not agree to do every stage direction. If it says she picks up a fork, you don't have to pick up a fork. You have to speak the words. And so all other design decisions, I try to add my own voice to the project while respecting the playwright's intentions without necessarily following every direction to the letter. Well, I think that we're going to be relying a lot on color and direction. So we're going to have some major color shifts to show the difference tonally between night and day, and also the direction of the light, where it's coming from, high, low, left, right, I think can also help us to track the passage of time. A little bit, because as beginning designers, this is for I think everyone their first real design project, there are a lot of things that just come with experience. So for example, in choosing colors, I probably wouldn't even consult a swatch book to color this piece. I would just know, like, oh, this is the color for this, is the color for that. But I want you guys to learn. So, in terms of the systems, I will definitely be guiding the position of lights, where I think the lights should go and what I think they should do. And I want you guys, the class, to have more creative control over colors. But ultimately, I can step in and save the day if things go disastrously wrong, but the truth of it is that lighting doesn't really go the only way lighting goes disastrously wrong is if you don't have enough light where you need it. If we make interesting choices, we make sure we have the coverage we need, we make sure we have the moods that we need, and stick to the design concept that we have created. It doesn't matter if you guys do things differently from the way that I would do them, because it might not be how I would have designed it, but doesn't mean it's the wrong choice. It's difficult only to the extent that you guys don't have the experience that I do yet to really argue your point for certain things. And so I don't think that there's a lot of conflicting opinions, because people don't, you don't have the experience yet to have conflicting opinions. So I think that mostly we're coming up with ideas, and I'm kind of guiding through. Here's why this might be interesting. Here's why I think that this might be the wrong choice for this moment, but might be good for something else. I don't feel like we've had much contention yet. Well, one of the nice things about working with a professional crew, and you don't always get this, but when you work with the right crew, a crew that I've been able to handpick, people I know, I can give them a task and walk away and know it'll get done. There are some crews, students included, where you have to kind of hold their hands a little bit more to get the job done. And the only thing that limits is the amount of multitasking I can do. Because I can still get something done, I can get a focus done in around the same amount of time it would take with a professional crew. The problem is that I can't have someone else focusing on the other side of the stage while I'm doing it, because I need to be there to guide through. In terms of working with students as designers, so much of what I do as a designer is based on gut instinct, and that gut instinct is developed from years of experimentation with many different styles and genres of design. Because I've done pieces like Three Sisters, I've done Electricidad, but I've also done American Idiot, and I've done a lot of dance lighting where it's just big bold statements, and I've done operas, and I've done minimalist pieces and maximalist pieces. That's not a word, but it's often difficult to articulate exactly why I make a decision, because it's something that I feel. And so teaching students, the hardest part of this class is teaching students how to get to that place of instinct. Because I can teach you how to draft a plot, I can teach you the necessary systems that go into design, I can teach you how electricity works and how reflectors work and refraction and inverse square law, but getting you to the point where you understand the emotional context and capability of light and can start making artistic decisions based off of that, I think it's something that only comes by doing. And hopefully we'll get a little bit of that through this piece, and if you guys continue to design, you'll get more of that. This piece is more my style. As a designer, I take whatever job gets offered to me, and it's to pay the bills, but also because I love to design, and my job as a designer is to come in and help a director realize their vision while contributing to the piece. That said, I believe that my special skill as a designer is more expressionistic, abstract design, and it's always fun doing a piece like Three Sisters because I think Chekhov's is incredibly juicy, but I have to be very restrained in the decisions I make there. Copenhagen was another really fun design, but again, I really reined myself in for that piece, and there were moments where I got a little more ethereal and went into the dreamscape of the piece, but I tried to keep it very quiet. Electricidad is big and bold and brassy, and as a designer, I find that it's the design equivalent of wearing my heart on my sleeve. I can be really overt with the emotions of my design, and that's something I really enjoy, so I'm looking forward to this one.